Thank you so much, and welcome everyone. So 4 tricks that will make you a Power BI hero. To begin with, I would like to introduce you to Ferdinand the Bull, well, aka Ferdy, because it's easier to pronounce in this presentation. He's a happy and calm office worker, adept, of course, in Power BI usage. Now, all of the other bulls at the office, they worked tirelessly and as hard as they could. You see, they wanted to climb the career ladder and show management that they were indeed the best. But not Ferdy. He didn't care about competing like that. He wouldn't want to break a sweat, right? All of the other bulls, they couldn't understand it. Like, why wouldn't you want to just throw away everything and just do all of this and be so effective and be the best, right? Who everyone could see. But he didn't explain it. I don't think he could actually. He was just happy and content with everything. And so one day when management put up a promotion, she put up this note because she had an open position, right? And all of the other bulls, they started to work even harder than before. They were running around the office. They were trying to force changes through the CAB meetings. Now, they wanted the manager to see that they were the most effective worker of them all. But not Ferdy. He didn't care. He was just calmly walking to his desk to prepare for one of his meetings. And you see, that afternoon, one of the other bulls, as well as Ferdy, had a presentation before management. Now, the other bull, he had prepared this ugly excuse of a PowerPoint because he wanted to squeeze in as much information as possible as, whatever he could fit in. He would, shrink the size of the font, do anything just to get more information in there. He also thought about all the possible questions that management could, provide him so that he would have answers for them and have every corner covered. Management was not impressed. You see, people focused on the content instead of what he was saying. They had all of these different ideas on what to discuss at the moment because they have everything in the same place, at the same time. And by the end of the day, he wasn't able to anticipate all of the questions. So some of the questions were left unanswered. He also, to top it off, spent a lot of time preparing for questions nobody asked. Ferdy had a little bit of a different approach. He went into PowerPoint, and he went to Insert, selected Power BI as the visual, and in here, this let your data do the talking window, in there he simply pasted the report link to his report that he wanted to go through. And that meant he embedded the Power BI report straight into PowerPoint. When he'd done this, he went down into the left corner because he was thinking, right now I have live data. I can click around in this and I can interact with it because it's embedded into the PowerPoint, just as if, I went to the web. But maybe I should do a snapshot. Now, he wouldn't consider the public snapshot because that would just make a print screen of the report. And then anyone who had the PowerPoint would also have access to that print screen and they'd be able to see the report. With snapshot, it would still be that, if you don't have access to the underlying data set, the underlying report, you wouldn't be able to see it within PowerPoint either. So that could be an idea. But he considered, since the meeting is in just a few hours, he may as well go with live data. Otherwise, he'd use snapshot because if the meeting was in 3 or 4 days, he might not want the data to change. He prepared for the meeting, he looks at the data and the numbers, and he wants to say something about them. But then by the time the meeting comes, the numbers are different. Wouldn't make much sense. In this case, he goes with live data since, again, it's only a few hours left. He also remembers to just minimize the menu because nobody needs to see that. Now, he does have this idea, though, because this was a very detailed report, and he wants to have some sort of set the scene phase of this as well, if you will. And the idea he has is he wants to have some important metrics, showcase those, and tell a little bit about what is about to happen, right? What are we going into? But the thing is, this report specifically, it doesn't have an overview page. So he can't use that. He can't just insert the entire overview page, and he doesn't have time to build it. So he goes into PowerPoint again. He opens a new slide, puts this slide before the very detailed slide where he have the embedded report. And this time, he makes sure that he has opened the report first. That way, you can see it under recommended, you recently opened this. So instead of pasting the link, he clicks on the button down there. And that will literally open up a view of the report, so we can see the report before inserting it, making sure it's the right one, but also, unchecking people, give people automatic access, because he doesn't want to give you access to the report just because you happen to have access to the PowerPoint, but it also selects one of the visuals. In this case, a key metric called games, which is the number of chess games played in this case. That gives it a little green rectangle around it. And when he now clicks insert, it only inserts that visual into the PowerPoint page. And so he's able to build this kind of small overview and begin with this and then head over to all of the details. So even though this doesn't even exist, he could build it in PowerPoint himself. Now, by the time of the meeting, they eventually end up at this screen and they discuss it. And it's a Power BI report, so he can click around and they can go through all kinds of different metrics. And one of the attendees says, yes, this is very interesting, but what about only those games played as the white chess player, like when Anna in this case was the white player? And so Ferdy simply selects that because it's live data, it's embedded into the PowerPoint. So even though they are in the middle of a presentation, he is able to go in and select different things and they can get new insights from that. Another attendee says, well, this is great, we've gotten a lot of insights. What about if we only look at the rated games though? And again, we can select only the rated games and everything changes. So they had the ability to discuss all of these insights during the meeting. And by the end of it, all of the answers were, or all of the questions were given an answer. And as a cherry on top, Ferdy didn't even prepare for that because he had all the tools he needed when the meeting actually came around. So he walks back to his desk. Then Ferdy remembers, there was another colleague, and he asked me this question the other day, and I promised I would look into it. Now it's time to get back to that colleague and give him those answers to that question. But he can see that the colleague is red in Teams, indicating he's busy and wouldn't be available for a call where he could share his screen and simply showcase whatever it is. And as it happens, another bull at the office have the exact same scenario. He also needs to show something to a colleague, but that colleague is red. Now that bull decides to start typing frantically to make a complex instruction to this colleague on like which system do you go into, what menus do you go to, how do you export that Excel file, and when you have that, how do you filter it in a certain way, sort it, merge it with this file, and then how do you at the end of it create this pivot table to actually show the insights you want. A very complex and very elaborate set of instructions. Took a lot of time to create, took a lot of time to read and understand, and the risk of having different outcomes is enormous. Now, again, Ferdy took a slightly different approach. So he goes into the report. It has a lot of different sliders, so he can set this report into various different ways. He sets it the way he wants to give the answer to whatever question he was asked, and he comes up with the answer. Now, this is of course not the standard way this report looks. He doesn't start with 80%, doesn't start with 30 and 50. So all of those are settings that he needs to do. But instead of explaining to the other colleague that you need to go in here and then you set the slider to that or this, he simply goes to the share button up here on the very top of the screen. And now another bull looking over Ferdy's shoulder sees this and be like, wait a minute, Ferdy, you shouldn't share the report. They already have access to the report. And Ferdy is clever that way. So he says, yeah, I know, but when I open the send link here, I make sure that people with existing access can use the link. That way, I'm not actually sharing it with the whole company or new people. I only create a new link to the report, but you all already have to have access to it. What I make sure of is to include my changes, because that will create a bookmark to make sure that however the report looked when I was done with it, that's the way it's going to look when my colleague click on the link. And then finally I click on Teams, and that brings up the Share to Microsoft Teams window. Everything in here is by default put in for me, except Share to. That's the only thing that I've added. Who do I want to share this to? And if we look a little bit closer on this link, you can see that it has a bookmark grid. And this is uniquely made for this specific setup of this specific report. And yet we didn't actually go in and say, create a bookmark and then share that bookmark. We just selected save a bookmark, save my changes. And so that makes all the difference in the world, that little and bookmark grid and the actual grid. So this way, Ferdy was able to go in, make some complex adjustments, filter, slicing, dicing, and clicking around in the report. And instead of typing out how to get there, he would just show, here it is, pre-filtered for you. Yeah, I don't have to break a sweat doing this. So it's just there for you, if you will. Of course, everyone's super impressed by this, and so Ferdy heads back to the to his desk. And now the sales team come up to Ferdy and another bull as well, and they have a question. You see, they want to kind of subscribe to data up until Christmas. They want to know the revenue coming in every week up until Christmas, and they want to know what kind of options do we have here. Now, the other bull, of course, wanted to show effectiveness. He sprung into action, explaining that he would be more than happy to just, schedule an event every Friday in his calendar. He would take a print screen personally and send it to the sales team. Ferdy, again, had a little bit of a different idea. So he showcased that when you go into the report, you can go in and click subscribe all the way up here. Now, in this case, Ferdy happens to belong to a company that is utilizing a premium license. They are going to migrate to Fabric, but for now it's Power BI Premium Capacity. Basically the same thing-ish, kind of. And since they have this premium capacity, they have two options. They can go with a standard subscription type or dynamic per recipient. With standard, that's the only thing you can use if you don't have the premium. And in this case, he wanted to showcase the dynamic per recipient first. So he goes in there, and the first thing you have to do then is connect to recipient data. You get to select a data set which holds the information about who to send this information to dynamically instead of manually and statically putting in this email should go to that person or these people or that dynamic or that like user list or something. Rather here, it's a data set. And so he happens to have a data set that he can reuse, which consists of all of the users. But he doesn't want to send this to all of the users. So at the next step, he filters it. He first searches for a user principal name. In his organization, that is the same as the email address, as it should be, but maybe not always. So I'm not going to tell you to do this the same way every time. But he selects the user principal name. Now that gives him all of the users, which is not exactly what he wants. So he also drags the job title field to filters and make sure it contains sales. Now one of the salespeople sales bull is there with him and is able to validate that, yes, indeed, this is the list of names that we're looking for, nobody else. All seems good. So on the next slide, the next phase of the configuration, he gets to set a subscription name and an email subject and all of that. Now, the only thing he changes here is the recipients. Instead of having manually added a person, he simply go and select the data, the user principal name. So that will loop through every one in that table and send an email to each one individually. And there's an upside to this, he explains, because what if you hire someone new before Christmas? With this solution, they would automatically get pulled into the data set and they would be a row with a sales title. And so they would automatically start getting these emails up until Christmas, which is a very, very good thing compared to having to remember going in and changing the recipients list. Now, in this case, he also says that, maybe you don't want to see how it goes for everyone, or the whole company. Maybe you just want to see your own data. And you can actually do that with Map Your Data. So you can filter the report, in this case, the report field right over here, that happens to contain the user principal name of a user. And that should be the current user principal name of whoever receives this email. And if they match, we filter on that, which means everyone will get a dynamically filtered report to only show their own data, even though they have the same subscription setup for the same report, they will still all get different views in their own emails. And of course, this could also be used in different cases, like you have regional managers. Instead of going in with the user principal name, you could select the region that the regional manager belongs to and filter on all of the users who is in the same region as that manager. And so again, yeah, you could filter it out. So these like 5 different regional managers would still get 5 different types of emails. All seems good. And at the end of it, you just select when to send it out. In this case, he's selected to repeat this on a weekly basis on Fridays. And even though end date is optional, in this case, they don't want to have this after Christmas. So, well, let's go by Christmas. At this stage, one of the salespeople said, yeah, this looks great, but it's a little bit complex. And like, is there anything we would miss out on in terms of subscription if we go with this dynamic approach instead of the standard approach? And so Ferdy goes back and shows that, yeah, there is actually, like, apart from being very much simpler, where you just select who should receive the email and everyone gets the same report, you can get summarized by Copilot in this stage, which is a preview feature, but it's also something you need premium capacity for, and they have that. And so what this would be doing is having Copilot explaining and summarizing in the email based on the latest data every week what's going on in this data. So they would get a new email every week instead of just the same, with the same view and the same report, but of course with new data. In this case, a little bit more personalized. Now, they were, of course, very impressed, and they asked for, like, okay, so wow, this is amazing, right? Is there anything else we should know about before we head back to our office? Like, you seem to be very adapted with this. Like, is there any more feature that you feel like this is the thing we should know about? And Ferdy, he thinks for a little while, and then he says, yeah, there is actually one feature. It's called Analyze, and it's a game changer. And I'm going to show you that to you right now. So what he does is he pulls up the revenue report, because that has a line chart, a very simple line chart in it. And at this point, one of the other salespeople, they'd be like, oh no, I've seen this slide so many times before. Oh, I actually work with this like on a weekly basis. And sure, I love this report to an extent. I love this report because it gives me so much insight, but it's missing so many dimensions that I would like to see on. And I mean, I can see the line is going upwards. I can see the line is going downwards, but I can't see why. I can only see that it's doing that, but I can't see why. And whenever I talk to the devs, they say that, no, we need to keep this page clean. I can't clutter it with all the noise of a lot of visuals because it's going to be too much for all the other people. And I don't have time to do a detailed page for you. So you just have to live with it only being a line. Ferdy says, oh, what a coincidence. What a segue to the explain feature, or sort of the analyze feature. And so he goes ahead and he right click into the line chart on a data point and goes to analyze and then explain the increase. You see what this is doing is it's going to have Power BI trying to find reasons to why the data is a lot higher in October than it was in September. If it was going downwards, it would, of course, say explain the decrease instead. And yes, this works with filter data as well. Like you can see on the left side, I haven't done anything. Ferdy have selected stand-up desks and laser printers, and so he's interactive with the report, and he's still able to do the analyze stuff. So what happens when he clicks that? A new window pops up. It looks something like this, and so he gets a lot of visuals, each of them trying to explain with different dimensions why would there be an increase? What was this looking like in September, and what was this looking like in October? And one of the sales balls says, wait a minute, one of those sticks out. The new product release campaign name. Didn't we release like a new share in the end of September or something? I didn't know that it had such an impact. I didn't think that was like the thing, but it seems to be. And so he was able to make insights out of basically thin air, because this wasn't in the report to begin with. Needless to say, they were very, very impressed. And so they immediately ran to Ferdy's manager and told her about all the great things that he had done. And naturally, Ferdy got the promotion at the end of the day. And to the best of my knowledge, he still works very calmly, very effectively, not breaking a sweat, and making Power BI do the heavy lifting for him. And with that, I have a roughly 1.5 minutes for questions. And if you feel like that's nowhere near enough, I need to have more time, you can reach me on LinkedIn on that QR code or on that link. I'll send that in the chat window as well. And yeah, maybe I should have started with it. My name is Ville. I'm a data platform MVP, and I run this blog on villeseekerviking.com. So that's also a place where you can reach me.
Thank you, Ville, for your presentation. That was great to see you in the action. Let's check the chat.
Yes.
If any of attendees has any question, just put it in a chat. Ville will answer. And just send your reactions. Don't be shy.
It was super clear. Everything was super clear.
Yeah.
Like, there's no questions.
Very clear, very fast. So
yes.
This, how do you like 20 minutes formula?
So I do like it, but naturally I went in with like 34 slides, as you can see. It's a little bit on the downside, but then again, it's only 20 minutes. I like it, but I also feel like I think the previous speaker said the same thing. It's kind of like
you to say more. You would like
to say more. Yes, yes. It's actually harder to have a shorter session, I think, because you really have to filter out what you want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I went for hopefully like scratching a little bit on the surface, hopefully inspiring someone to check some of the features out a little bit more. I understand that it did not go into depths of like how you actually do any of these things. Yeah. So hopefully you will feel a bit more willingness now to go in and explore these features. And if you do, and you do get stuck on something, then you can reach out to me.